Good afternoon. We're going to go over this past week's trades and the weekly recap. I finished the week with 26 wins, 6 losses, which is a win rate of 81.25% for the week. I like to strive for at least 80% on the week for the month. That is like my goal. Anything over 80% is acceptable. Anything under, I need to stop making mistakes or whatever and work on that. But 80% is the goal. Consistency is the key, and that's what I'm striving for. So I'll get into the trades on Monday, but if you're not in the room, the link is in the description of the video, and you can also find it on my bio section of the StockTwits and Twitter and stuff like that. So Monday did not start out good. Mondays for some reason just aren't my day. For some reason, I don't know, the last few Mondays, a couple Mondays, I just haven't been doing good. So I might have to start not trading as much, even though I don't really trade that much on Mondays, but I might have to start trading a little less, so I'll be a little more cautious. But anyways, first trade I took on Monday was SPY puts at open. Now, as you can see, this was Friday and this is Monday. I mean, you had a big gap up, so I was thinking you were gonna have a big sell-off, and we didn't. It dropped right here. We just bring it up a little closer, get rid of the noise. It started to drop, and I was looking at it right here. I remember saying in the room, it looks under 349.50. I'm gonna grab puts. I did a small little drop. I mean, they didn't go much. I mean, it just J-hooked. I mean, that's a perfect J-hook right there. It just dropped a little, then just popped. I was not expecting it to pop, but it did. But the puts went from 75 cents to 85 cents. I mean, just in that little drop, I was not expecting that. So that was the first tiny win of the day. I had 3 losses this day. I mean, that was on Monday. I had half my week's losses just in that one day. So the next one was Roku. Now this is Monday right here, and this is Thursday, and this is Friday. As you can see, whenever it gets up into this 227 area, it just rejects. So I was watching this pre-market, and I remember saying in the room, it gets below, probably I think I said 225. I'd have to look right around in that area. That's when you grab puts, and I grabbed the 207.50 puts. I mean, this is at 225 right now, the price, and 207 is way down here. That's why I hate trading Mondays on some stocks, because you have to go too far out of the money, and even if there's a decent move, you're still not going to get that much of a play. I mean, so, but the 207.50 puts went from 93 cents to $1.18 from here to here, so they did do pretty good. This 224 was an important level, but I did grab SPY puts again at let's see, 948. So I had him at 931. I got in and out at 9, and I grabbed him at 948. Well, I think I know why. Yeah, because when it dropped down, I got out right here, and then it had that red candle. Then it started to come down again, so I thought it was going to dump right in there, right on that candle, but it didn't. It quickly reversed, and that was loss number 1. Then I took Netflix calls, because I sit in my watch list that I was expecting Netflix to have a massive ER run, and it didn't. So, well, not this time. So I ended up grabbing Netflix calls at 1056, which is right here. Now I grabbed it right over the 20 EMA, and which is over the high of this Friday. So when it got over here, I grabbed it, and this was a loss. I shouldn't have been a loss, because I got stopped out. I just prematurely stopped. Sometimes having stops too tight is your own worst enemy, and in this case it was. So you have to excuse my voice, for some reason it's getting very raspy. Yeah, so I stopped out. I got in the 595 calls at $1.03 right here, and it popped up a little bit, and then it rejected. So I was nervous it was going to go back to lower day and break. Let's see me get a drink. So I stopped out below VWAP, and me stopping out too fast, too tight of a stop, it did go the direction I wanted. And I believe a few people in the room stayed with it, and they actually made money off it. So I lost, and many in the room did not. So then the last one for the day was SPX. Now, what did I go? Let's see. Make sure I get the right day right there. Now I grabbed SPX through 35.25 puts at 148, which I believe is right here. Now this is my other mistake. I mean, you had it's diverging right here on the histogram. As it's going up, it's coming down. So I saw it pull down here, and then it popped back up. See, that's the thing that's been happening lately. Is every time SPY has a little bit of weakness, it has a strong green candle. I mean, this green candle is these two candles combined right there. So then it had this little wick right here. So I said, okay, maybe this is going to be it. So I grabbed it right in here, and then the 35.25 puts at 120, and it just chopped and went up. And by the time it actually broke down the level where I bought it, it was decayed too much, and they were practically worthless already. So just in this short amount of time, from almost 2 o'clock to 3:30, I mean, an hour and a half, I just destroyed it. So theta is really harsh on expiration days, and that's something you have to be cautious about in trading. So that was my third loss for my terrible Monday, and I'm going to be very more cautious on Monday. Now Tuesday I had 7 wins and 0 losses, so Tuesday was a good day. I'll start out with what was the first one of the day? Let's see, I have to look on Discord too, and by the way, you can look at the timestamps on my Twitter and Discord. You have to be careful with Discord for some reason. They're blending my alerts on Friday. They blend up the first half of my alerts into each other, and you have to hover over them to see what the timestamp is. I'm really annoyed by that because I hate that. Anyways, Roku and Lulu. Now Lulu was a long-term debit spread I had going on, so let me get Roku up first, the 13th, which is right there. Okay, right, yeah, Roku just let's see, I'll get to that in a second. Now Lululemon I had back when it was under $300. The day I actually had it was September 18th. You can check the timestamp. Get the hourly up. I'll just bring up the 2 hour. September 18th, which is right here. This is where I had it, right at the under 300. And Lululemon, I mean, come on. I mean, Christmas season's coming up, man. This stock, it was just beaten down for ER. It's going to come back. I even said when I got it, it's going to go back over 350, and it did. So I ended up getting out. I started the spread at 310 and sold at 595. So that was a nice long-term hold. It was very easy. I mean, Lululemon's not going to stay under $300. I knew that for a fact. But let's see, it was Roku and SPY. Now Roku was very tricky. Now Roku, I traded 932 right here at open. Same thing. I mean, look, it chopped right here. I got right down to the low of day on Monday, and I got the puts right there. I got the 205 puts at 94 cents. It dumped really quick, and this level, the 220 level, is very important. And you got to know where the levels are, and the 220 level and 224 were the two big levels for the week. And they went from 94 cents to $1.13 right there. Then it quickly just popped. Then I actually played Roku a couple of times, 3 times that day, and they were all puts, and I'll tell you why. Let's see. SPY, I had 349 puts, 90 cents. 938 right in here. Now, we had the big gap up on SPY. I took the losses on SPY, and you know, it chopped like overnight right in this like 353 to 351 area, just bouncing in that little channel. And when it started to break down right here, and it stayed on the VWAP, and it tried to break out, then boom, it dropped. I ended up grabbing the 349 puts right there, and they went from 90 cents to $1.77 in the in the full drop right there. So it was kind of a choppy way, but it was a choppy descending play, so it did work out pretty good. Now Roku, it's just, I was not expecting this kind of a play from Roku. I mean, it's every time it started to look like it was going to reverse, it popped more. I mean, it just, I think there was no news on the play. It was just, I'm not quite sure why it ran. I remember there was no news. It might have been just an ER run, or hope on ER or something like that. I could be wrong. There might have been news. That was also Tuesday. I have trouble remembering yesterday, let alone a week. But I had 212.50 puts at 957, which is right here. Now, pre-market high right there. It got here at wicked. I grabbed it, and they went from 90 cents to 108. You know, quick little scalp. I even said it was very risky, thinking, I mean, this huge green candle, and it started the wick. I was like, okay, it's going to quickly drop. So that was that play. Then I ended up grabbing Facebook next, which was on I'm gonna make sure I get the days right. Sometimes, I mean, Facebook had a huge run too. I had Facebook calls. I had the 285 calls at 133, and I grabbed them at, let's see, 1021, which is probably right here. Yeah, right in here. As you dropped, I mean, it came up so far, and it pulled back and had this big drop. But I mean, it came close to the 200 EMA. I mean, it didn't get. I would have rather have touched it, but when it started to have this ascending wedge or ascending triangle right here under VWAP, and it broke through, that was the sign to get in. And they went from 133 to 206 right there, so that was a good little push. Then I grabbed Roku 220 puts again, and I grabbed them at 111, which I believe is right 111 right here. Now it started to it rejected right there, and it came back and it wicked right there. That's when I grabbed it, thinking it was going to finally just drop and come back down, at least VWAP, and it didn't. I mean, I still won it. I mean, the play went from 125 to 135, but it just, I really thought that it was going to drop. And I remember correctly, even though it was chopping in this area, the prices on the puts were going up as it was chopping. So that was good to see, but I don't know. I got out. So then I had the last play of the day was Lilly. Now that was a news play. I remember that being news that they concerns about the vaccine or something along the lines. Man, look at this big. Wow, that's big. Yeah, they dropped news right here. Make sure I get the right day. The 13th. I grabbed the 148 puts at 86 cents. 184 puts at 86 cents. At what time? 232. I chased it. Yeah, 232. Right. Yeah, right here. I chased it. I think I even said in the room, I'm chasing it, and I did. So they went from 86 cents to $1.36. But you also got to remember it was at the $1.50 range is where I grabbed it. I remember it was right at the 150, and the puts were at 148. So I mean, it didn't need to take much to drop. So they went from 86 cents to $1.36 on this little push, just this tiny push right there. And you need to keep track of stocks that make these big moves, or the way the strikes are set up, and stuff like that, because the dollar strikes Like on Lily, they end up moving really fast in Disney. So if you're at the money or close to the money and they drop like a 4 or 5 points, it's gonna be massive. It's gonna be a massive play. So you gotta remember how stocks move and how much they move and what the option strike setup is and stuff like that. Is it $2.50, $5, $1 interval, 50-cent interval? You gotta, or 75-cent interval for Apple. You gotta understand what the ranges and the stock and on the options. So it's good to know that stuff. Then I ended up grabbing on Wednesday. I had 4 wins and 1 loss, which I started with Roku again, which was a big play. Roku, then Disney. Speaking of Disney, let's see. Disney's the 14th. Okay. Now, one of the strategies I always have is like I always look for disconnections between moving averages and price. So when something gets too far detached, like right here, Roku, when I was playing puts as it was going up, and weirdly I was making money off it, which was kind of weird, but timing's everything when it comes to options. But anyways, it's way up here at 240 range, and at 200 EMAs down here in the 232. There's a huge move up, and when price gets so far away from the moving averages, it's only going to do one of two things. It's either going to chop and bring the moving averages to it, or it's going to drop to them. The moving averages are a magnet. So I ended up grabbing the 220 puts at 79 cents at Roku at open. They went from 79 cents to $1.39, which was a nice play. I mean, it did exactly what I thought it would do. Anytime price gets detached like that, almost every big play this week was these plays that are detached. And I find them because most of the time when you're going to find these plays that make these exaggerated moves, they're going to show up on my 1 hour RSI scanner, where if you see, I look for 1 hour extreme moves if it's like below 30 RSI on the 1 hour or above 70 RSI on the 1 hour. I start looking at it, and then when you get that huge disconnection, that's when you end up seeing these big moves. And that was Roku's move. Now Disney, I'm not quite sure why I did not play Disney on Tuesday, but whatever. I mean, he had this huge move up. Yeah, I did not play Disney on Tuesday. I think I was too focused on Roku that day. But yeah, then I ended up grabbing Disney. They blended the alerts. I have to actually look at the timestamp. Let's see, what was the time? It's 9:34. So I grabbed them at 9:34 rate, but when it broke the 128.50 levels where I grabbed it. Now you see this big move right here it had. It came back down. It didn't really touch the 200 EMA, but it stayed within, and I should have played it. You know, that would have been a good little drop, and a good little drop right there. I think I was just more worried about playing Roku and watching Roku. And plus Disney's been kind of like not been that great towards me. I got burned a few times, but this one was a good play. But anyways, regardless of why I didn't play it on Tuesday, it had a huge run on Monday after hours. It came back, and then I was looking pre-market, I was noticing you get this, like, use this line as support, and you get a descending wedge right here. You know, you get a bearish descending wedge, and I was like, okay, if it gets below this 128.50, I'm gonna grab it. So I had to grab the one, and that's the good thing about it. Wednesday, it was at 128.50 is when I grabbed it, and I grabbed the 128 puts. And Disney's got dollar strike intervals, so they went from 82 cents to 292. It dropped 350, and it just made a 200% move on that little drop. So yeah, that was a good move. Then I had BA and Baidu. Okay. Baidu was a loss. Okay. I'm just trying to get the days right. Okay. I had Roku 220 puts at 9:30 on the 14th. Get the right day here. $9:30. Am I looking at the right day? I'm looking at the wrong ticker. I already did Roku and Disney. Sorry. Okay, I bid BA. BA, I had 160 puts at 92 cents at 10:07, which is the rejection of the 200 EMA. And I think I waited for it to grab it right to 10:07. I think I waited until it got. Let me blow it up a little more so you can see. As you can see, it dropped the day before, then it popped and it rejected right here. And BA just has a history. Every time it pops, it gives back all its gains, or at least most of it. So when it rejected, I could have grabbed it up here, and I think many people did grab it up here, but I waited for it to break this candle right here, this one, and that's when I ended up grabbing it. So they went from $1.20. They went from 92 cents to $1.27 on that move right there. I love the rejection off the 200 EMA. I mean, just right there, I did it again. I mean, BA just likes to lose everything, all its gains. Now, Baidu just had an insane move. This was my loss on 14th was what day? Wednesday. I grabbed Baidu puts at 11:15, which I think is right here. No, 11:15. Right here. I grabbed them at 85 cents, 133 puts, and it popped, and I got stopped out. So I know that if you held overnight, they went to like $3. So, but I did not. I dumped it as a loss. But Baidu does not trade at, let's see, it started out at 127. Baidu does not trade at the $11 range. I mean, you look at the range is on Baidu. I mean, yeah, it has strong days. Yeah, right here it went from, let's see, 109 to 120. That's $11 day right there. I mean, that's like 6. So it does not have these strong days, and when it does have these big gap ups and strong days, it ends up like losing the next day. And that wasn't a huge candle, but Baidu's candles aren't that big. The average candle is probably about $4 to $5, and making an $11 run with no news whatsoever. It just popped. So let me just blow this up right here. I end up taking a loss on those ones, but let's see. The 133 puts. I'm trying to figure out. Okay, because I have it blacked out because it was overnight. Yeah, in the room, you'll see that I posted Baidu at let's see. Shortly after, it was a timestamp on this one. 12:49, which I believe is right here. Right when it started to look like it was going to break right here, I ended up grabbing the 134 puts at 60 cents right there. Now it had that huge, like I said, $11 move, and I was looking for it to fade, and it started to fade. But I mean, look at the exaggerated move. I mean, your price is at 138, and the moving averages is down at 130, and I knew that it was either going to dump end of day, which it did kind of dump, and I was going to sell end of day, and I was like, no, I'll hold it, whatever. And then I held it overnight, and I'll get into that on Thursday's play. But the last play of the day was SPX. Well, I had calls at 90 cents. Let's see, what day was that? Right on the 14th, right here. Let's see, 14th. Yep, I had 3505 calls at 90 cents. I got them at 303, which is right here. Now, I mean, as you can see, it sold off during the day. It's been chopping in this area, and it looked like it was going to break down. It didn't. So usually when it's down the entire day on expiration, you're going to get an end of the day pop. Sometimes it's at 2 o'clock, 2:30, 3 o'clock, 3:30. They're hard, impossible to time. But right here is when I jumped in with them, and they went from 90 cents to 310, just in that little push right there. I mean, SPX, I mean they were 35.05 puts. I mean, in the money is right there. So it didn't need much of a push to make them skyrocket. And they went up 200% right there from 90 cents to 310. So that was a good little end of the day push on that. So let's see. Then I ended up grabbing. That's it for Thursday. Wait, is it Thursday? The 14th. Okay. Gotta figure out what day I'm on. Yeah, okay, now that was Wednesday. Now Thursday was when I actually had the 134 puts that I got right here on Wednesday, and that held overnight to Thursday. And they went from 66 cents to $4.33. So that was a 600% move right there. I was very happy with that. Then I had, let's see, BA Netflix. Let's see, BA. Netflix. Yeah, when I do the weekly recap, sometimes I get confused which days I'm on. Okay. Now I grabbed BA puts, 115 puts at 60 cents at 9:41, which was right here, right when it pushed down. You got gap down, and then it pre-market was still at the lower level of the low, and then when it pushed down, I ended up grabbing it. So I grabbed right here. And the thing that I've been kind of watching for is a lot of the times you'll have that first candle be like it will drop down, but I think it was Roku that did that. It would have a red candle that would pop in reverse. It's happened quite a few times this week, and so I waited for that first candle to come form, and then after it did, I ended up grabbing the BA 155 puts at 60 cents, close to the money for the most part. Wait. Well, I typed on Twitter 115 puts, but on Discord I have 155. Yeah, it was the 155. Though I would have never played the 115. I had the 155 puts right here, so it means only a few dollars out of the money. So small move on BA is going to send it, and it did went from 60 cents to 80 cents in that quick little drop. So then I ended up grabbing Netflix. What a bad typo. Netflix, I grabbed 515 puts at 93 cents. Okay, you have what time? 10:26, which is right here, I think. Yeah, right in there. Now, I was wrapped up with Baidu and Baba, so it did pop. I mean, I was watching Netflix all week this week, thinking we were going to have this big ER run, and we didn't. So then when it popped up a little bit, I was kind of watching it a little bit, but it was NBA and Baidu, like I said. So when it had that harsh rejection, I was looking at it. I was like, I don't know if I want to buy. I get that 536 area is very, very big. So when it popped up right here to the EMAs 37 and 20, and then rejected and came back down, I ended up grabbing the Netflix puts at 93 cents. They went to $1.23, just a little push. I mean, the options that day on Netflix were the puts were moving pretty good, even though it was kind of chopping. I think they were anticipating a big drop or something like that. It just did not happen. It held it. I mean, it did break below that little level just for a quick second, just to probably grab all those stops and stuff like that. So yeah, all good to that day. We get there. Then I had Tesla calls and Netflix puts again. Okay, let's get Tesla up. Now I had Tesla calls at I hate shorting Tesla because it's just it can be a monster. I had 465 calls at 11:15, which is probably right here. Ascending triangle. I think I remember sitting in the room. It was going to fall apart, and it did. And it got back over the RCT trend line right there. When it got over these little candles right here, I looked at the calls. I grabbed the 465 calls at $2 for a push to VWAP, and they went from $2 to $2.49. That was a quick little push. Then I had Netflix puts again, and this was my loss. I had them what time? That was my only loss for the day, 246. Where is it? The 246. Oh yeah, I remember this. So I had it here, and then it went up to VWAP in the same area again, this 542, and it rejected, and it held, and it quickly made a quick little flush and pull back up. So when it came back down, usually when it bounces here, so you got 1, 2, 3, 4, and I started to come down right here. This is when I ended up grabbing it at $1.02. I thought, okay, this is going to be it. It touches again, it's going to break the low, and we're going to flush. And it tapped it, and it popped, and I end up just holding it, thinking, okay, it's gonna, and it didn't. I dumped it. So I took a loss on that one on Thursday. So, but Friday was a very active, very busy day, and I'm gonna have to refer to my Discord because, as you can see on Twitter, they just blended 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 calls at 9:36, and it did not take him at 9:36. If you remember, you can look at the timestamps by hovering over the call. So I end up taking Baba and Netflix first. I'll put Baba up. Okay, Baba was a quick one, and it didn't last very long. I thought it was going to do what it always does. Usually when Baba gaps up and has this little tight range pre-market and it gets below it, it usually dumps and fills the gap. So I did grab the 300 puts at 50 cents. They went to 65 cents in that little drop, then quickly reversed. See, this is what I was talking about. That's been the theme a lot of the week, is they'll start it going down and get shorts trapped, and they'll reverse it. So I got in and out really quick. I like to get in and out of the plays really fast in the morning ones, so I have a little bit of a cushion to play with. Then I end up grabbing Netflix. Let's see, calls at, gotta go to Twitter, 9:42, which was right here. Now, it did gap up, and I was very hesitant. I was not going to chase it if it went straight up. It did pull back, and I ended up grabbing the 465 calls at $1.16, and I got the little pop over the high, pre-market high. So they went from 116 to 179 in that little push. Then I ended up grabbing BA. Now BA, whenever BA gets up in the 174 area, it just get collapses. So I'm making mental note of that. I mean, plus BA had a huge run up, and BA always loves to disappoint. So I had 170 puts at $1.11, and I ended up grabbing it at 948. So I grabbed it right when it popped up, and it came back down. I grabbed it through the push to the 200 EMA right there. And they went from $1.11 to $2.75 in that drop. If you held, then I had Netflix puts. I flip-flopped on it as right here it dropped and it popped. I had the pop. Then when it came back down and broke right here, I grabbed the puts. So I grabbed the 540 puts at 9.55, which 9.55 is right in this candle right there. Right when it broke below the opening range right there on the way down, when it broke that, which is below the 37 EMA is the white line. The 105 puts, they went to $9.85, and that's massive drop. So if you end up holding the whole way, it was a huge 800% play in the money. A lot of the calls, a lot of the puts I had that day went into the money. Now I had Roku. I gotta keep Tesla up because I played Tesla quite a bit. I played it like 3 times, I think. I just love buying Tesla's dips. So Tesla, what? I just did Netflix, so it was Roku. Okay, Roku was next. I had 225 Roku puts. Now Roku, I had this area mapped out, the 224. It was a big area. I had 10 o'clock right here. Now, as you can see, you have the big gap up. I was other plays right here. Then when it came down back down to 226 area, and it broke this little level right here, that's when I grabbed it. And I wasn't thinking there was going to be much downside. I figured it'd bounce right here. So those Roku puts went from $1 to $3 in this little push. And you also got to remember that it's expiration day, so when you're buying 225 puts, I mean, it's the price I'm getting it at. It's $26 and 30 cents roughly, and 225 is right here. So I mean, if it holds a support at 224, it's going to be well within the money. And a $2 drop on Roku is nothing. I mean, it can drop substantially, and the Roku can just be a huge money maker on expiration days. That's why I like playing Roku and Tesla. And they, like I said, they went from $1 to $3 right there. It did manage to try to hold it, then it just came back down, then it went up and retested the level before it ended up just chopping. I did have a loss that day. I'll get to Roku when I get to it. I had Tesla again. I had Tesla. No, again, this is the first time. Tesla 460 calls at 10:07. Which I think is right here, right over here. Now I grabbed the 460 calls at $1.45, and I think I grabbed them right here in a quick little pop. I think it was going to break over this high. It did briefly, or tap it. So those ended up going from let's see, $1.45 to $1.73, and it quickly rejected. And I remembered saying in the room that if it gets underneath the 451 area, that it was going to drop. I wasn't going to short it. I hate shorting Tesla. Then I ended up grabbing Tesla calls again at 10:52, which I believe is right here, right on this bounce on the RCT trend line, which is the orange trend line. It likes to hold that. As you can see, it holds it here. Well, it dipped under, but it came back over it. So it just loves to touch it and bounce. So when it did that, I thought, okay, it was going to bounce. Maybe we'll actually break out, but it didn't. Anytime I'm up like 50 cents or more on Tesla, I'm just going to take it. I mean, you could make violent moves, and but I just don't like to hold it too long. I grabbed the 455 calls at 115. They went to $1.53 in this little pop right here, and then it drops more. Then I ended up grabbing the Tesla 450 calls at 1118, which I believe is right here, right in here. I grabbed it right in here, and the reason I grabbed it is because of the previous day. I was holding in this 440 area, and I even said in the room, if it gets underneath 445 to 444, I'd grab calls. You had a big sharp drop, and every time Tesla has a sharp drop, it ends up recovering most of it or half of it. So I ended up grabbing the 450 calls at $1.73, and they went to 245 in this little push right here. I got in and it started to drop more, so I hung on to it. I mean, it's a lottos. I mean, some days I'll give it more room, some days I won't. I had a lot of good plays, so I didn't care what happened. It was lottos, and it worked out, and it went from 139 to 245 on that. So then the next one was Roku. Roku was a loss on this one, and the reason I grabbed it at what time? 12:04, which is right here. Now it came down and it started chopping, and it was just chopping right under this level. I was thinking that it was going to pop. It came back, it chopped a little more, it popped above it just briefly, then it dropped down, and then this just chopped, just destroyed it. But I stayed in it because I grabbed the 225 calls and it's at 224. I mean, Roku could easily go $2 or $3 in a heartbeat. I mean, like right here. I mean, right here, it went from 224 to 226. So I was expecting this kind of a move back in here to get to VWAP, but it didn't. It chopped. So I was expecting again right there, nothing, and here again there, and nothing. So it just toyed me a little bit at the end, but whatever. It is what it is. So Roku, that was the loss of the day. Then the last play of the day was Amazon. Amazon had news. Citibank issued some kind of thing about saying that Prime Days is not going to be as good as people anticipated. So, and this whole run up right here, was based on Prime Day. So I mean, I was looking for, when I heard that, I was like, this thing's going to go back to 3,300. So that's what I ended up grabbing. I grabbed Amazon 32.85 puts at $2.50 at 12.35, which is right here. And ironically, when it had that little, it was breaking a key level too, and Citi mentioned that. So ironically, that happened when it did. So we'll have to see if it actually what the numbers officially come out as when Amazon actually publishes them. So but yeah, Citi said that Prime Day is not going to be as good as they thought. Many of the workers were told to stay home, and too much overtime. No one was working and stuff like that. So then it just got smashed the end of the day. So those 32.85 puts went from $2.50 to $22.50 if you managed to hold it through the massive dump at the end of the day, which I just it's crazy what happened. But then it rebounded. Look at that, rebounded after hours. It came back up to 32.74. So yeah, that was crazy that it had that massive slam in today. So that was a 800% play if you ended up holding to the entirety. So those were the weekly that's the weekly recap. Those were the plays. Those were the reasons why I took them. And you can also see that, you got a little bit of a head and shoulders right there. I think that I was looking at something else on Amazon. Yeah, there was like an inverted cup and handle right here, but I mean, I thought there was something bigger. No, well, yeah, there's a head and shoulders right there, but it might have been something else. But yeah, I went based off the news. As soon as I heard Citi said something bad about Prime, and the whole rally was about Prime Day, so I knew that would send it down at least some to my target. What I was hoping for was 3,300, and it did end up hitting eventually. So that's going to do it for the recap. I hope this has helped, and if hopefully next week will be volatile and just as good, if not maybe better, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.